Sarah, an almost 40-year-old virgin, is going viral after admitting that she's never been intimate with a man. Ever.
So I'm in my late 30s and I've never been physically intimate in any way. Like, I'm Little Miss Never Been Kissed. I've never done any of it. And I want to ask people, if you were in my position, would you feel embarrassed to say that out loud to people? Because I am not the least bit embarrassed by this. I've talked about it on my page before. All my friends are very, very aware of this. We talk about it all the time. But I'm not embarrassed. It doesn't bother me. And I'm not sure whether that's normal or whether that's a very, very odd way to view this whole entire situation.
Welcome to the Coffee Pod. My name is Chishu Zed. Sarah believes that she has what she calls ugly privilege. This privilege being men leave her alone, which to her, I guess, is a good thing because, you know, men are worse than bears, and God forbid a man says hi to you in the streets or tries to get your number.
I just wanted to come on and talk a little bit more about what I mean when I say I have ugly privilege, because I've talked about it in a few videos, and I tend to get a lot of similar responses. A lot of people will come on the comments and say, oh, but you're not ugly, you're pretty. And firstly, thank you for comments like that. It's really, really kind, and it's really nice to see. But when I say I have ugly privilege, it's not that I necessarily think I'm an ugly individual. That's not what I mean, because I've been told plenty of times throughout my life that I'm pretty. But when I say I have ugly privilege, what I mean by that is men, in general, don't find me attractive. For the most part, men think I'm ugly and they leave me alone. And to me, that's a privilege. And how do I know men aren't attracted to me? Because they're not flirting with me. They're not hitting on me. They're not trying to get my phone number. They're not asking me out. Like, men in real life mostly leave me alone. It's very rare that I get male attention in real life, which is why it makes me so friggin' uncomfortable when it happens.
You got to give it up to some of these chicks for turning every negative thing into a positive thing where, you know, men, of course, are the problem. Oh, men don't find me attractive. Oh, look, ugly privilege.
But that's what I mean when I say I have ugly privilege. It's a privilege to be left alone by men because they find me ugly.
So this chick is expressing that she's happy men don't approach her and find her attractive. How much of that do I actually believe? I don't know. And what I'm talking about, again, is her happy that men in general don't pay her any attention. I think there's some truth to what she's saying only if she's talking about the types of men that most women would perceive as a threat. Now, if she believes that men who approach women either to get their number or talk to them in general are dangerous, then there's no way I'm going to believe that. And chances are that's exactly what she's talking about. And I would have to call BS.
So I have recently learned what happens when you talk about being unattractive to men on this app. Inevitably, one of three things seems to happen in the comments. The first thing is people relating to your experience, because I posted a video a little over a week ago now where I'm talking about the subtle ways that men let you know they're not hitting on you, that they're not interested. And so many people commented that the same thing happens to them. They totally understood, which was awesome. Now, the second thing that happens is people will come in my comments saying, you know, you're not unattractive at all. You're actually pretty, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's so sweet. It was so kind. And if you happen to be seeing this video and you left a comment like that, thank you so much. Like, truly, from the bottom of my heart, you are so sweet. And then there's the third type of comment. And those are the comments where people are like, well, look at the way you present yourself. Maybe if you did your hair and your makeup and wore a different outfit or blah, 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 men would be interested. Point. Firstly, no. No, that's not how it works. I do like to do my hair and makeup and wear nice outfits from time to time, and men still aren't attracted to me. That makes zero difference. And also bold of you to assume that I want that male attention, because I don't care. When I was younger, sure, but I'm in my late 30s now. I actually really like the peace that ugly privilege brings me.
There it is. This chick believes she can do nothing to make herself more attractive to men. She firmly states that makeup and presenting herself a little bit better makes zero difference in her words, which isn't true. And I'm not talking about the overdone makeup. No, men do appreciate makeup that's not overdone or like caked on. To me, it sounds like she's always wanted a man, but now that she's in her late 30s, almost 40, she labels her situation as ugly privilege instead of acknowledging her struggle to attract men. Now, you might be wondering why she can't just find a man to just bust his cheeks one time. I understand. The problem with that type of thinking is you're thinking like a man. For men, sex is like pizza. There's good sex and then there's great sex, but it's still enjoyable, right? It's still pizza. And when you want the pizza, in most cases, if you like pizza, you're happy to get it, and vice versa when it comes to sex and men. Now, women are different, at least most women, right? Women have a higher disgust sensitivity, making casual sex less satisfying for them. So they would rather go without than go with just any man.
If, like me, you were a woman that men typically don't find attractive, or like that most men aren't attracted to, do you ever find that guys will find like a subtle way of indicating that an interaction is friendly and not flirtatious? Like the other day, this guy came up to me and told me that he liked my glasses, and I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." And then he fist bumped me. It was just so funny because like they want to make sure you know that they're not hitting on you, but they don't want to straight up say, "I'm not hitting on you," because that might be a little bit rude in their eyes. But like they find a subtle way to, like, they might use words like dude or bro, another thing that I've heard too. But like, do you ever notice that happens quite a bit?
The things that happens to a lot of guys too. Women do that. They'll be like, hey, how you doing, man? You guys have experienced that with chicks who maybe are trying to show that, oh, I might have a boyfriend, or no, I'm not trying to hit on you. So it turns out there are a bunch of chicks just like her, and they were in her comment section, who also are happy about their ugly privilege. Like this female commenter who says, "I put on a fair bit of weight." That'll do it. That'll do it. From a UK 12 to a 22. Whoa. 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 US 8 to a US 18. And I've noticed that fewer people talk to me now. Not people I know, but strangers used to talk to me all the time. I mean, let's really address the elephant in the room here, no pun intended. I mean, let's... No pun intended, right? But if you politely served both of these chicks some coffee, the woman in the comment section here and the woman featured in this video, and told them, hey, losing weight would really help you with maybe possibly finding a man who you're not afraid of and who you find attractive. Something tells me both of these chicks, first of all, would be upset, like the chicks who are listening to this right now and are mad that I said it, and would think that that would have zero effect on her dating life, the same way that she thought her putting on a little bit of makeup, being a little bit more presentable, and not looking like the perfect mascot of a cat lady in these videos would help. I have a feeling she would not be trying to hear that. This next female commenter says, "I embrace ugly privilege and thank you for talking about this, as I thought I was alone thinking like this." I find it so strange that instead of just accepting that, hey, I am not attractive, they want to resort to what a privilege it is for the average man to not come up to me and say hi, try to get my number. There's something wrong with that. What do you guys think? Comment down below. Here's another comment that reads, "Another ugly privilege. They tend to trust your professional opinion more at work than the cute girls." Professional opinion, even if it's the same opinion. Wow, wow, wow. Discrimination in the workplace. This next female commenter says, "We are just invisible. Men take no notice, and while it does hurt the ego a bit, it leaves us feeling comfortable and relatively safe in most situations." Now, this comment had 10.5K likes, 10,000 plus women who feel the same way. Comments like this also bring up the question of, are these chick female incels? And that becomes a not so accurate description of what these women are if you take into account that the word incel means involuntary celibate. And that's not what this is, due to the fact that men and women view sex differently. That would be an interesting study to do, which I personally haven't seen. Maybe you have. Comment down below. What is the version of a female incel?
I think it's so funny when men try to threaten women with that whole, well, what if you don't get picked? If you refuse to settle, you're going to end up alone with cats. As if that's some scary situation. As if that doesn't sound wonderful. Because let me tell you what I'm going to do if I never find a partner and I end up alone. I'm going to sleep in a big bed by myself with maybe a dog. I'm going to watch whatever I want on TV. I'm going to participate in all my favorite hobbies. I'm only going to have to cook and clean and do laundry for myself. I'm going to spend time with my family. I'm going to go to karaoke night with my friends. My life's going to be just fine. I don't need to settle to have a fulfilled life. My life is going to be very full on my own. And would it be nice to have a partner to share the good things in life with? Yes, absolutely. But if I don't find that, I'm going to be just fine.
Obviously, this chick wants a man in her life, no matter how much she pretends she doesn't care. And from what I see, she's not willing to do the things it takes to put herself in a better situation. Even in her 20s, obviously she wasn't willing to do those things. If this was a man, I would suggest for him to lose weight and would let him know that that would definitely help increase the possibilities of women finding him attractive. Men are more visual. It means more for men for you to be in shape. And remember, guys, you're only allowed to tell men that they need to do better to qualify for the type of relationship that they want. It is toxic if you advise that a woman needs to improve in any shape or form. That's the crazy world we live in today.
So we've established that I have ugly privilege, and the vast majority of men completely leave me alone. But what do I do when that doesn't work? Like, I went out to karaoke night recently with a friend, and we were sitting at a table with a bunch of guys, two of whom I had met previously. And one of the guys that I had met was with a couple of his buddies. And I was just meeting them for the first time. And I was sitting next to one of these new people. And it's not that this guy did anything particularly inappropriate. It's just he was a little too friendly for my liking, and I felt uncomfortable. So, for example, like he would, rest his arm around the back of my chair or try to. At one point, I got up to sing a song, and when I came back, he had pulled my chair right up against his chair. Like, if I had sat in the chair, where it was, I would have been like all tucked up next to him, which I'm assuming is what he was going for, but I was not comfortable with that. So I did pull my chair away from him a bit before I sat down. And I didn't even properly sit in the chair the entire night because I would have been sitting too close to him. I half sat on the chair and I stuck my other leg out like a kickstand. And I stayed like that pretty much the whole night. Because I felt so uncomfortable. At one point I was turning my head looking at my friend or talking to my friend, and I could feel this man touching the back of my neck, or like the hair at the back of my neck. And I kind of would jerk my head away like that, hoping he would get the hint that I didn't want him to touch me. But what do I do in these situations? Because I do have an anxiety disorder, and my responses are to freeze or to flee. Like, I'm either going to freeze up or I'm going to try and get away. And in that situation, I couldn't really just run away. So I froze up, and I go into this mode where I'm just trying to be polite. Like, I don't want confrontation, but I feel like I need to try and get over that. So do you have any suggestions for what I can do in that situation, or how I can handle those feelings of anxiety? Because I need help.
I wouldn't be surprised if a chick like this and other women who are in her situation get really terrified when men are hitting on them to the point where it's almost uncontrollable. If you've never really gotten over the fear of intimacy, because everyone's been through it, right? That first kiss, that's the first person you held hands with. You remember how sweaty your palms were, how shaky you are. That is a mountain everybody who is currently dating had to eventually get over. I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly what she goes through every time she gets closer to the possibility of getting close to a man. And it only makes sense that the longer you go without that, the harder it actually gets to want to experience it, be able to overcome it.
I'm so glad that I happened to see your comment, because yes, absolutely. I have had tons of guy friends over the years. Growing up, I've always been one of the guys. I've always had girlfriends too, groups of girlfriends, but when it came to the guys, I was always treated like one of the guys, like legit one of the guys. The things that they would talk about around me, I was definitely considered a dude with long hair and boobs.
She's like, trust me, I have guy friends, trust me. I'm just kidding. Let's get this.
So they've never tried to sleep with me. And I've had fantastic friendships with men and guys and boys growing up. I've always really, really enjoyed the company of the guys that I hung out with because they respected me. They valued my opinion. They thought I was a cool person to hang out with. And they've never crossed that line. Just for fun, I wanted to ask the people who do crafts or have crafty hobbies, what's your favorite thing you've ever made? Because my favorite thing I've ever made is this crazy minion hat. I made it years ago from a pattern I found online, and I get comments every time I wear it.
Her knitting makes sense.
Every day on this app, I see more and more examples of questionable parenting, and it's becoming a little unreal to me. Today I saw a stitch, and the initial video that was being stitched it looked like a baby having their first birthday. There was a cake in front of them, I'm assuming a smash cake, so that the baby will play with the cake, and it's cute for videos and pictures and stuff. But then it looks like the dad comes up behind the baby, smushes the baby's whole face in the cake, swirls it around in there for a good 3 seconds before letting the baby up. And I want to know who thinks that that's okay. I'm curious as to how many people out there think that that's an appropriate thing to do to a small baby. Because in my opinion, that is wholly inappropriate. When I had my first birthday, you know what my mom did? She put a cake in front of me, and when I wanted nothing to do with it, she stuck my hand in the cake. She put my hand in the cake. And then I cried and freaked out. So they cleaned me up, took the cake away, and that was that. That was it. And on what planet is this acceptable? To smash a whole baby's face in a cake and swirl it around in there?
With all due respect, ma'am, we're not about to take parenting advice from an almost 40-year-old virgin. Listen, I'm not trying to be, not trying to get on this chick too much. In conclusion, here is what I've gathered from all of this. The ugly privilege thing, while I get where she's coming from, overall seems like a coping mechanism for the men that she can't seem to attract and hasn't been able to attract for most of her life. Now, will she ever eventually find a man? Well, hopefully. Hopefully she does. I wish her the best. But with that being said, I do think there are some changes that she's obviously neglecting to implement that are greatly influencing the situation that she is in. As always, I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? Leave your comments down below. I appreciate you as always for checking out yet another episode of The Coffee Pot. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.